What's up, everybody? We are back with Ball Around the Head, episode number 2. As this time we will be talking about the playoffs, which start tomorrow, 10:30, and California time, 1:30 Eastern time. I'm joined again by Andrew and Ben. We are going to go actually just straight into it because we have a lot to talk about today. Overall, just a little quick topic, what were your thoughts on the bubble seeding games?
You can start, Ben.
Okay. My biggest thought was that I was surprised how much it looked like a normal game with fans. It totally looked like you couldn't tell the difference from a television perspective. And also we saw a lot of surprises.
Yeah. Andrew?
I thought the bubble was really well done. And I thought the teams, everybody really had a chance to make it. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers are kind of the essence of they took it. They had their opportunity and they took it and they made it to the A seed. So I think the whole bubble was important, probably more for the East than the West, because the West was kind of already set except for the A seed. But I thought it was pretty cool. I like the bubble idea, and obviously I like the NBA. So,
I think, most people can say this. It was a lot better than they thought it would. Most believe that it wouldn't even make it past a week. It'd be a breakout, but it didn't, and it was actually pretty quality basketball considering no fans or anything. I thought, like you said, there were some upsets. There were some stars who broke out. Some people you would have never thought of made all bubble teams. I thought it was just really good basketball overall. As of right now, it's working very, very well. So actually, we're just going to dive right into the playoff predictions. As they said, they start tomorrow, and we're going to start first with the Eastern Conference. First up, we have the Magic and the Bucks, the 1 versus 8 seed. Who do you guys have winning, and how many games, and why?
I just have the Bucks in 4. I think without Giannis, because Giannis will be out 1 game against the Magic, the Bucks have a better supporting cast, and the Magic even have a team, and they also are a lot more experienced, and especially deeper in the playoffs. They have that experience. The Magic make the playoffs every year, but they're kind of they make the playoffs so they don't get a good pick, and they're kind of just stuck at the A seed for the rest of eternity. So I just think the Bucks have more experience and better players.
Yeah, Bucks in 4 easily. The Magic, they've been playing terribly in the bubble. They won their first 2 games and then just went downhill from there. And they just don't have enough to compete with the Bucks at all. So I don't see them getting a single game.
I don't think there's really that much debate for this series. I think it's easily Bucks in 4. The only way the Magic can steal one, and that's the keyword steal one, is if the Bucks just shoot terribly from the field. That's the only way. If Jonathan Isaac was here, I actually would have the Bucks in 5 because Jonathan Isaac is very underrated, and he can probably give Antetokounmpo a run for his money, but he's gone. The Magic really have no one that's going to stop him at all. I just think it could be a good old-fashioned sweep. So that one was easy. Really nothing to debate there. So this one has been more – it's 50-50, though most people believe there's one winner. That's obvious. We have the 4th seed Pacers versus the 5th seed Heat. In the season series, the Heat won 3-1. And the game that they lost was the most recent bubble game where they both of them sat most of their starters. So the Pacers won the scrub game. Didn't really matter. So who do you guys have winning and why?
I've got the Heat in 6. I think it's going to be a good series. Obviously, the Heat won the regular season series, but we've seen the emergence of T.J. Warren in the bubble. We've got hopefully a long series of Butler and Warren going at each other. I think it's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be scrappy every game. But ultimately, I don't think the Pacers have what it takes to outmatch the Heat.
Yeah, I also have the Heat, but I put them in 5, not 6, because I just think the Heat are just on a whole nother level compared to the Pacers. The Heat have a lot more offensive talent than the Pacers. They have like Bam Adebayo, who's just an emerging star. There's not really anybody on the Pacers who can probably challenge him as much as you would want. Jimmy Butler just against TJ Warren, like Ben was saying, that's always interesting to watch. But like Jimmy said, TJ's not in his league. Like bubble TJ it's just a phase. He's not that good.
We're still in the bubble.
Yeah, we're still in the bubble, but that bubble's going to pop for the Pacers after the first round.
Yeah, to that point, Jimmy Butler and company shut down TJ Warren in the recent outing. And Butler's even admitted that they're not scared of him, really. And I have, as well, the Heat in 5. I was debating 6, and I was really strongly thinking Heat in 6. I mean, I think we could all agree there's no way the Pacers win the series. I wouldn't
say no way.
Really?
I mean, if Bubble TJ somehow learns from his outing with the Heat already, like I can see them winning, but I don't think they will.
Well, I'm just saying Heat in 5 because Victor Oladipo hasn't really been Victor Oladipo, and I mean he's been gone from basketball for a year. He came back and then the whole shutdown, so he really hasn't gotten in a groove. But if they get a healthy Oladipo, it's a little bit scary, honestly. They have 2 really solid closers, and but I mean, like right now they're missing Sabonis, which is a huge loss. They're all-star this year. Outside of TJ Warren, if he struggles so far in the bubble, there really hasn't been that one guy who steps up. I mean, they're going to trust Aaron Holiday, Miles Turner, all these people. So I do have the Heat winning, advancing. We have a comment from Anthony Romo that says, do you guys think TJ Warren could keep up his hot streak throughout the playoffs? I'll ask this first. I think, honestly, he could for a little bit, not throughout maybe the first couple games, because in the playoffs, that's when teams show their game plans. They have these big game plans, and I'm going to get to this this is an example. I'm going to get to a little later, though. But like Damian Lillard, I guarantee he's not going to go as off because they're going to double team him big time. And TJ Warren's probably the same thing. Like I just said, they don't have anybody else. Like, if Oladipo's healthy, then that's someone else. But right now, nobody on the Pacers should scare the Heat of if they double team Warren and this guy's open, I wouldn't be scared. So I think there's going to be a couple games in that series he's going to go off for 30 plus.
Oh, Daniel.
But I think for like overall, I think he's going to shoot under 40% in this series. Bold prediction, but whatever.
Well, real quick, I wouldn't say the Pacers have nobody that he could be afraid of. Malcolm Brogdon, I don't even know how to pronounce this dude's name. He's got the Bucks experience. He was balling out. I forgot which game it was that I was watching. I think it was against the Heat. He was just, it seemed like he was unstoppable, and he's just a scrub, like noob almost, but he played for the Bucks and he has experience and he's a good leader. That's one person on the floor that could be intimidating towards the Heat. But yeah, I guess to answer the question about TJ Warren, like I said, like it's just a phase. He's not going to play well in the playoffs. Jimmy is in his head, literally rent-free, sitting in his head, dribbling basketball all night. So yeah, I just don't see TJ Warren balling up in the playoffs.
I think yes, he can keep up the hot streak, but the thing is, the playoffs don't last very long if you're the Indiana Pacers. So that's not saying that much.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Malcolm Brogdon. My apologies because he was out for a little bit and he had the virus. But yeah, I'm with Ben. Even if he has a great first round, he's going to be out in the first round. So it's not really going to matter. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. We will gladly answer them if you guys want. So next up is a series, in a way, I'm actually kind of excited for. And for the fact that, and I'm going to show it right now, that the Nets just don't quit. Nobody wants the Nets to no one expects the Nets to do anything, win anything, but they were not that bad in the bubble, considering they got a bunch of people from the street and said, hey, you want to play for the Nets? Let's go. And they almost beat Portland to get them out of the playoffs. They beat the Magic to solidify their 7th seed spot. And Toronto is just a great defensive team. It's a great overall team. So I think it's going to be a real big brawl. And I wouldn't be surprised also last year, considering like the Nets and the Sixers got into it a lot throughout their series. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple scuffles between these two teams throughout this course. But I'm excited for the series. Who do you guys have winning, and how many games?
Go ahead.
All right. I see the Raptors winning. I mean, I really don't see any way the Nets could win. I mean, Karis LeVert, he's all bubble first team, right? Karis LeVert, our second team.
Being a second team.
Yeah, he's been balling out in the bubble. But I think the Raptors' defense, and especially their defense in the paint, just will stop them from getting to the basket. And stop Nets from getting to the basket. Obviously, the Nets have a lot of 3-point shooters. They have Joe Harris. Maybe not a lot of 3-point shooters because I think the list ends there. But that's going to be how the Nets will have to play the Raptors, like at the perimeter, because there's no way they're going to be able to score inside. But I see the Raptors. They were in the finals last year, so they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I also have the Raptors. If you look at this matchup on paper, this should be a sweep. The Nets roster is not that scary. They're missing, obviously, Durant, Kyrie, and then Dinwiddie is a huge loss. And people thought that they weren't going to do anything in the bubble. But if you watch that Portland game, they were playing with the same sense of urgency as Portland. And that game didn't matter at all to them in terms of seeding. So they're definitely got some fight in them. So I'm gonna go Raptors in 5. I think they might steal one.
Quick, Andrew, you never said how many games.
Yeah, I was just about to mention. I said Raptors in 4. That's the only sweep I have in the first round in the East is the Raptors.
I'm on Ben's page. I have the Raptors in 5. And when I said I was excited about the series, I didn't mean like Brooklyn's going to upset and shock the world. I just like the way Brooklyn's managed from the top down. I love their grit and grind style. They're out of it. Like you said, they played the Trailblazers the other day. They had absolutely nothing to gain from that, but they played their hearts out and were this close to winning the game. I just think one game, Karis LeVert drops 50, 40, whatever. Joe Harris drops 25. Jared Allen drops 17, 11, whatever. But overall, I mean, it's not really a debate. Toronto's way better, overall better team. But I just think the Nets can grind one win out. But yeah, I think I have the Raptors in 5. Now we're going to go to a series that should have been one of the best in the first round, but unfortunately Ben Simmons is out. We're going to go with the number 3 seed Boston Celtics versus the number 6 seed, 76ers. The Sixers won the season series 3-1. The Celtics won the most recent meeting. But of course, all those meetings were with Ben Simmons, and they will be without Ben Simmons. Who do you guys have winning in this series?
Ben?
I've got the Celtics with a clean sweep over the Sixers.
Oh.
The Sixers, to me, seem defeated. I don't think they have any hope left. And
Damn.
I think the Celtics are going to jump on them, and they're the type of team that's not going to let up. So, and, we'll see. Maybe Embiid gets his moment and stuff, but I'm not sure. I doubt it. I got Celtics in 4.
Okay. Well, I don't think they have I don't think the 76ers are going to get swept at all. I actually think Joel Embiid should carry the team probably to a Game 7, which I know is kind of bad to say Game 7 in the first round, but I actually have the Celtics. Oh, no, I put the Celtics in 6. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think – oh, yeah, real quick. Anthony was going to said Tobias Harris in the comments. I was just about to mention Tobias Harris has really been balling out, and he's emerging as that second star Philly needs for the playoffs. And Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris can probably muster up 2 games against the Celtics, but I really don't think the 76ers have a perimeter matchup against the Celtics, especially with Ben Simmons being out. Even though Ben Simmons isn't a perimeter threat, he is a point guard, and he's a mismatch on the court.
Well, in my unbiased basketball opinion and analysis, I've taken a look around the league, some of the reporters, these big shots guys who are all saying Boston will easily dominate Philadelphia. And I mean, as a Boston fan, yes, let's go. Moving on to the next round. But hold on a second. I don't know the exact stats, but I know Embiid has performed a lot better with Ben Simmons off the court than when he's on the court. And as Anthony brought up, Tobias Harris is really, really, really capable of putting in 20 points a night by himself. And you have Josh Richardson, who is a great 3-and-D player. Maybe needs to work on his offense a little bit more, but he's great at defense. Matisse Thybulle, who today Coach Brown said he might start him in the lineup. He has given the Celtics some fits on defense, including Kemba Walker, I believe, or it's Jason Tatum. He's played really good defense on them. And I still don't think Philadelphia can win the series, but I don't think it's going to be a sweep or 5. I have them in 6, Boston in 6. I feel like I've seen the Celtics play in the bubble. Sometimes they just don't play with as much heart. When they start missing shots, they start yelling at the refs and they get out of the game. And I think Embiid is going to give the Celtics fits. He will give the Celtics fits. He's going to average like 35 this series. I'm not denying it. He's going to absolutely demolish the Celtics. But the question is, if the Sixers are going to win, will the other guys help? If they don't help, it's not going to be close. If their bench production is 0, if they're shooting 30% and under from 3, they're done. There's no chance they're going to be swept. But Daniel,
I mean, the 70s.
Yeah. Asher said good vibes. Okay.
Real quick, I mean, Joel Embiid kind of took advantage of having when he played against the Rockets without Ben Simmons. I mean, Joel Embiid was going – I mean, he didn't play the whole game, but he was going off against the really small ball Rockets, and the Celtics probably don't have anybody height-wise to match against Joel Embiid in the paint. So he'll take advantage of that, like you said, and probably put up monster numbers.
Excuse me, have you heard of a man named Taco Fall?
Don't get Celtics fans started on that. They want to play
joke.
Taco. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if Steven pulls them out if it's bad. Actually, I like you brought that up. They will do that. I know 2 more. Shake Milton's an X Factor, but if he plays good, we have a chance. Yeah. I don't know. I think the Celtics might exploit him on defense. And that's what some people have been saying. There's weaknesses. Sure, they can stop Tatum, but then they got Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, and Kemba Walker to stop. And then if you stop another one, there's still those other 2. So I don't know. I think it's obvious that the Sixers, as of now, are out-talented, if that makes sense to the Celtics.
Well, the Celtics aren't that good, dude. Like, Al Horford, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris.
Al Horford sucks.
Al Horford sucks recently.
Al Horford is terrible.
On the 76ers, he's terrible. He
That's
played
what
good
I'm
on
saying.
the Celtics. He'll bring it. He'll play off Horford. I don't know. He'll come back.
And
Celtics are deep, though.
I don't know which one of you guys said it, but when you said it, I mean, even I said it, that Embiid's going to like destroy the Celtics. In a small game, whatever, not a big deal. Cantor held his own against Embiid last time they played. And Cantor is not a defensive player. He never has been, never will be. But Cantor held his own against Embiid. I think he held him to under 20 points last time they faced each other. And you're going to hear it here first. Maybe it's a bold prediction. Most likely it's not. Embiid and Smart are going to get in a scuffle. Smart does not like Embiid. Embiid likes getting into fights and whatever. I can guarantee that happens. We have a comment. Embiid's getting every time we doubled every time he touches the ball. Yes, because the Celtics did that last time. They actually had a good game plan against him. But like I said, it's the playoffs. The Sixers probably have an idea of what to do about that. But yeah, there's that. And here we go. We finished the Eastern Conference. And basically, between all of us, there was really no upset, except for technically the Heat are the 5th seed, so that would be an upset, but not really. So we're going to go to the Western Conference, which, in my opinion, and probably everyone's opinion, it's a way better conference, and it's probably going to have way better playoff games in the first round. And let's start first with the 1st seed Los Angeles Lakers versus the 8th seed Portland Trail Blazers. I'm going to take this off first, and I'm going to get this in a later topic we have. I think this would be one of the best first-round series we have. And these Laker fans might interrupt me. I mean, I've even seen Laker fans say it on Twitter, and everybody said there's a way Portland can beat Los Angeles. There is a way. And that's because they don't have Avery Bradley, which Damian Lillard could absolutely expose. And if Carmelo Anthony hits big shots like he did in the play-in game the other day, if CJ McCollum is playing that freaking lights-out takeover when they double-team Dame at the end of every game, I mean, there's that, but on the contrary, we have LeBron, and there's absolutely no one on the Trailblazers who could remotely stop him. The Trailblazers have given up multiple offensive rebounds, and they got people in the paint. The Lakers, they have Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, who are all in there for offensive rebounds. I have the Lakers in 6. Like, even though I said the Trailblazers could win, I most likely don't think they will. I think Lillard might superstar their way to a couple games. Maybe Carmelo might go vintage Melo, hit 20 couple games. But I think overall, like I said, no one's stopping LeBron, no one's stopping AD on that team. I just think it's a next round for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. I also have the Lakers in 6. And, honestly, I'm scared. I'm scared of Lillard. I saw what he's been doing. But like you said, the Blazers just have no match for the Lakers inside, and I think they're just going to dominate there. That being said, Lillard will probably take over a couple games, so they'll get 2.
Yeah, I actually, if you could put my name, do you want to put my name real quick? Can you put the name?
What name?
The little name on the bottom of the screen. Yeah, right here. The Lakers in 4. I really don't see the Portland Trailblazers stopping LeBron. I was watching the playing game and I saw John Morant literally going to the basket. He kind of looked like me out there. That's what I would say. I mean, John Morant was just balling out, unstoppable almost against the Portland Trailblazers, and he's getting to the rim dunking. He looked like LeBron and Andrew. Imagine going against the real LeBron. Like, I don't really see Portland stopping LeBron from dominating, especially playoff LeBron. And I don't really see them answering for Anthony Davis, which will probably be the Lakers' X factor throughout the playoffs, if you can even consider him an X factor. But yeah, Lakers in 4.
There's no debate that the Trailblazers probably have one of the worst defenses in the league. But I think if they're going to win, it's going to be a shootout. And that's kind of what all their wins have been. They've been in the upper hundreds. It's not really a defensive battle. And I don't know. I think, like we said, nobody's stopping LeBron and AD on the Trailblazers. And honestly, there's going to be no one on the Lakers who can stop Damian Lillard. I mean, the first game back after the Mamba incident, Damian Lillard took over. And that was with Avery Bradley there. And Damian Lillard took over that stadium. I mean, again, it's after emotional event, and I can understand that. But that's my point, though. Damian Lillard is going to get whatever he wants this series. But like I said earlier in another topic, he's going to get double teamed. He will, because they know they can't stop him. That's when C.J. McCollum, what's his name, Carmelo Anthony, and all those guys have to start hitting threes for them to have a chance. But in the end, I think we all agree the Lakers will advance to the next round. The next series we have is a 4-5 matchup with actually one of the biggest trades in the offseason, the Thunder and the Rockets. It's notable that Russell Westbrook is expected to be out maybe the first 4 games, which is a huge loss for the Houston Rockets. Do you guys think the Rockets can overcome that loss? And if you do, how many games do you think they can take care of business?
Kind of like you said, this whole series depends on Westbrook's injury and whether he'll play as the games that he needs to play. So I actually think I think the Rockets will win, but I said Rockets in 7. It'll go down to the wire because the Rockets kind of need Westbrook to take some of that offensive load and draw more attention from Harden because he's going to get double teamed. I mean, Harden kind of shoots over 3 players at a time, but Harden kind of disappears in the playoffs. So I can see the Thunder, getting a couple games, but once Westbrook is back, the Rockets will win, but I think it'll be tight.
I also have this series going 7, but I actually have the Thunder winning it. So I think, like you said, Harden has disappeared in the playoffs recently. I don't think he'll do that this year with Westbrook gone. And that doesn't mean that that's not going to hurt. I picked the Thunder. I just think, I don't know. I think you got some disrespect for the Thunder, man. Like, have you looked at what they've been doing this season? Like,
Yeah, of course. I mean, they were definitely not even expecting to make the playoffs, and they turned a bunch of young players into good role players for Chris Paul, and Chris Paul is kind of making everybody around him better, like he's always been. So
yeah,
yeah, the Thunders are pretty good, I guess.
Schroeder and Gilgeous-Alexander, Gallinari, they've all been playing well. But I think it'll be a close one, really competitive.
I think that Westbrook loss is huge, and it's going to affect the Thunder's game plan because I think they're just going to trap the hell out of James Harden. And I mean, Harden will get his flops in, he'll get his free throws in still, but he's not going to. I don't think they're going to let him because they got more than capable defenders guarding James Harden. They got Chris Paul, who's played with them for a couple of years. They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They got the Dort guy. I don't want to mispronounce his first name. But I'm with Ben. Actually, I'm with both of you guys on the 7 games, but I'm with Ben on the Thunder winning it. All year, the Thunder have had that mindset of everyone's picking the other team, so why not us? And every single time they come out and they make it, why not us? So I think they're going to scrape by with the leadership of Chris Paul. He won't put up the greatest numbers, but with his leadership and he has teaching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and all these young guys, Danilo Gallinari is really good at basketball. He's very underrated. Steven Adams is going to give the Rockets fits on the offensive glass, and he's not like a terrible defender. He can go out and guard PJ Tucker. But honestly, in terms of who would give the Lakers the best matchup next round, I would root for the Rockets because I don't think the Thunder will do that good, and we'll get to that in another stream. But in this round, I honestly just think the Thunder are going to pull away from this.
All right. Okay. Stay hating.
And as I said earlier, with the Raptors and Nets, and maybe just a 2-7 thing for me, I think this one has the potential to be one of the best first-round matchups. We got the 2-seed Clippers versus the 7-seed Mavericks. We got Kawhi Leonard versus Luka Doncic, Paul George versus Kristaps Porzingis. I think it's going to be really high scoring because the Mavericks have one of the best offenses, not this year, but in NBA history. And like that's insane. Before I get into my analysis, I'll have you guys go. Who do you guys have winning in this series?
Ben, do you want to start this?
Sure. So I think we need some more hot takes here. I've got the Mavericks in 7. All right. So like you said, a historically good offense, best offensive rating in the league. And I think they're way better than their record shows. They've gone 2-11 in games decided by 3 points or less. And a lot of people would look at that and say, oh, they're not clutch. But a lot of times it just comes down to the way the ball bounces. So if their record should be much, much better than it actually is. And, you could say the same thing about the Clippers. They have a good net rating and all that, and they match up well in terms of defensively. But I think the one thing that makes me pick the Mavericks is, like, as a fan, we have not seen Luka Doncic in the playoffs. And he, to me, feels like the type of guy who could just turn it up to the next level.
Well,
so,
Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my reaction. Like, Luka Doncic hasn't even been in the playoffs. He's definitely my favorite player in the NBA, but we'll just have to wait and see. I like that Mavericks in 7 because I was really, really going to throw the Mavericks a bone on this one and give them the win. But I'm actually going to say Clippers in 6, and that's because the famous saying, like, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And, the Clippers are the best defensive team in the NBA, or at least one of them. And, it's a great game of offense versus defense. But I see the Clippers translating defense straight into offensive points. Kawhi is averaging like 29 points in the bubble. Paul George is averaging 26 points in the bubble. And they're also great defensive players. And, the Clippers average like 6 steals in the bubble. So I just see the Mavericks getting out defensed, especially on a young Luka who's never really been in the playoffs. He's been in the East European Championship, or you know what I mean. So he's has somewhat experience in a postseason. Just this is the NBA. You know, the United States is built different, I guess.
Before the hate comes in from my boy Ben, I actually kind of get where he's coming from. That's why I had a very hard time picking this. I'm actually with Andrew. I have Clippers in 6. Like we said, they have one of the best offenses in NBA history. And to your point about Luka not playing, Luka has never played in the playoffs, so we actually don't know what to expect from him. He could be a complete failure in the playoffs for this first year, because this is his second year in this league, first year in the playoffs, and not everyone's born great into the playoffs. But my thing for the Mavericks is they have Kristaps Porzingis, and I think I got to this on an earlier stream. He can shoot over anyone on that Clippers team. Every once in a 50 shots, they'll block a shot maybe when he's not paying attention, but he can shoot the shot over everything. And that's the key X factor for the Dallas Mavericks in this series. If he gets going and gets some solid 20, 10, whatever, he doesn't have to do anything crazy. Doncic puts up his triple-double. And another guy who needs to perform, and I've seen this from everybody else who's predicted playoffs, if the Mavericks have any chance, they need someone else to step up. Most of the time in the regular season, it was Tim Hardaway Jr., who hit the corner threes or whatever, but they need to have someone step up, because outside of Doncic and Porzingis, it's heads or tails. Hardaway starts missing threes. Who do they got? They have Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Seth Curry, they have all those people. But like Andrew said, the Clippers built their roster for the playoffs. They're very versatile, 1 through 5. I just think that experience actually will just keep the Clippers ahead of the Dallas Mavericks. But I think this will be one of the best first-round series in this playoffs. And, I mean, I'm not so hatred towards any teams ever. But in my opinion, this is going to be one of the most boring first-round series that I honestly could care less who wins. We got the 3-seed Nuggets versus the 6-seed Jazz. I'm going to go first on this one. I have the Nuggets in 7. To that point, I'm actually not the biggest believer in the Nuggets right now. But I don't know. I'm just not really excited for this series. It's kind of the series I'm going to check in the fourth quarter and see if it's close or not. Then I'll watch the rest of the game. It all depends on who's healthy for the Nuggets. Really, we got Jamal Murray, who made the last couple games he started playing. Gary Harris, I believe, is still out. We got Will Barton, who is still out. And honestly, I am the biggest supporter of Michael Porter Jr. on the court. Some of the things you saw off the court, not the biggest fan. But he's a baller, man. He's a baller. He made all bubble second team. And he didn't play half this season, so that's absolutely insane to me. And the Jazz, I'm just not sold. And today the news came out that Ed Davis will be out for the first round, even though he's not that big of a player. They're without Bojan Bogdanovic, which is 20 points they're missing. They're relying on people to help. And Mike Conley just left. That's huge.
So Mike Conley left the bubble?
Mike Conley left because his son was born today.
Oh.
So I think I might want to. I'm going to have Nuggets in 6, not 7. But so for the first couple of games now, we got Donovan Mitchell, and we're just going to be back to what we had these past couple of years of who's going to help Donovan Mitchell, and in the end, no one does, so they're out. So I believe that's kind of going to happen again. I have the Nuggets, and I guess now in 6 because Conley will be out.
All right, Ben, you want to go?
Oh, go ahead.
I also have the Nuggets, but I have them in 5. And I just think that the Nuggets have more playoff experience. You know, they've made it to the second round, 2 years in a row now, right? They've made it to the second round. The Jazz, the Nuggets.
This would be their second year.
Yeah. This would be the second year? Okay. Yeah, the Nuggets just have kind of more experience in the playoffs. They also have great ball players. I don't really watch the Nuggets very often, so they're a very boring team, and same thing with the Jazz. So not much to say on my part on this matchup because they're very sleeper. It's a very sleeper match, but I just have the Nuggets in 5.
Before Ben's prediction, we have a comment from Anthony Romo yet again. We got what are you guys' thoughts on MPJ coming? I think he meant becoming who he's supposed to be. Do you think he'll get playoff minutes? I'm pretty sure I read that he is starting when they come back. I'm pretty sure that's what I read. I think that he is supposed to. The reason, and me and Ben and Holden were on that draft show where we were just really shocked to see Porter Jr. go that low. He has the talent to become one of the best people in that draft. I mean, there's Luka and all those people, but still, wait, I could be wrong. Well, no, Luka is in that draft, wasn't he? Am I in that draft?
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah. But he was supposed to be the number one pick going into that year before his hip got hurt. And his problem has been defense, and his defense isn't the greatest thing of all time, but his offensive game is undeniable. It's one of the best in the bubble. I mean, he made the second team. So I think he'll be getting a lot of playoff minutes for a team that needs scoring with a bunch of their players out. And I think he's really starting to become that piece that the Nuggets have been wanting.
Yeah, for sure. He's the best scorer right now, so they have to play him playoff minutes. I'm excited to see what he can do. Yeah, but like you said, this is kind of a boring matchup overall.
I have really nothing to say. Like, I agree. Michael Porter Jr., yeah, he's actually, like Ben just mentioned, the best scorer on the team, so he's definitely going to have to play in the playoffs. And wait, I'm pretty sure the Nuggets mentioned just playing bull also. Like, they kind of just have to throw whatever they have available, and whether that's kind of these undeveloped players and trying to play them in the playoffs. And this is the bubble. Like, they're not really expected to win, but it's fun getting playoff minutes. It's fun getting experience. And I think the Nuggets are very boring. So I don't really care.
We have this, which we're just going to, ignore. And then we actually have a pretty decent question from Nicholas Reyes saying, series you guys think coaching plays the biggest factor? I actually like this question a lot. And I think the series that coaching comes down to it, actually, you guys take this. I don't know.
I got to think about it.
Well, I think coaching really matters once you get into kind of when you start falling behind in the playoffs and you need to get your your team coming back from a deficit or coming out of a what they call them, icebreaker timeouts, when some team's on like a run and you call a timeout. You're like, all right, we need to stop them. We need to start getting we need to get us rolling. Coaches' challenges. This will be the first finals where they have a coach. Actually, I don't know if it was last year. I don't think they were. But I think this year will be the first year with the coach challenge. And, I think the strategy is kind of to save that for the fourth quarter. But whatever coaches kind of do out of deficits is where it's going to happen. Pressure moments.
I'm going to be a little biased. I'm going to say Brad Stevens and Brett Brown, because Brett Brown right now is coaching for his life. It is well known if they lose first round, he's gone. So right now he's coaching for a job. And Brad Stevens, in my opinion, I've been watching him actually ever since he got in the league. I watched every single game. He's one of the best coaches in the NBA and he's actually, it's unarguably, he's one of the best after timeout coaches. He draws the best plays. And honestly, it depends on how he guards Embiid. Like we mentioned a little earlier, Embiid's going to dominate, but if they double team and leave like a Tybal wide open, that's something the Celtics will live for every single possession. They'll let Tybal shoot. They'll let Richardson shoot. So I think that one might have and if Brett Brown, he makes a lot of coaching mistakes, which is why a lot of fans don't like him. He puts people in when they're not supposed to, sub people out when they're not. So I think the biggest series, which the coach could be the biggest factor, I think it has to be the Celtics. That series is just pure game plan, because both teams have advantages. It just depends on how the coaches handle it.
I'm gonna say Rockets Thunder. That's because with the Rockets, it's such an interesting matchup. Whoever plays the Rockets, because they're such a unique team. Because if you trap Harden, he's got shooters all over the floor. And a big question there is, do you have a big guy in there to just dominate the glass, or do you match them in size and go small? Thank you, Anthony. You agree with me. Wow. What was I saying? But so playing against Harden is I was going to say the Thunder have a way to go small that a lot of other teams don't. They have the 3 really good point guards, Gilgeous-Alexander, Schroeder, and Paul. So, yeah.
Wait, and real quick, I forgot to mention a series because I didn't really mention a series. I actually think coaching will matter. Lakers in Portland, Frank Vogel's a very defensive-minded coach, so I think when if he can figure out how to stop Damian Lillard and 3J McCollum from balling out, that'll be pretty good. I'm not really knowledgeable on the Trailblazers coach. What's his name? Terry something like.
Stops.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't really know about him, but I know that if the Lakers can figure out defense, especially with Frank Vogel behind the wheel, it'll be a good series.
Yeah, I'm not saying this because you're on my show, but those are 2 I thought of immediately because those are 2 that actually do need huge game plans as well. And here's Anthony's answer real quick for Anthony's basically agreeing with what Ben said. So we just went through, and by the way, again, if you guys have any questions, we're more than welcome to answer. If you guys want to know anything, we are more than welcome to do it. So we went through every single round. Technically, I believe we had 1 upset predicted. I think it was the Mavericks over Clippers. Besides that, everything's supposed to stick to schedule. Normally, every other year it does that, but so
Thunder over Rockets upset.
I don't really count 4 or 5 seeds upsets, and
Okay.
Rockets are favorites, I believe. But like still, in the 4 or 5 seeds, they actually have the same record. So, so with all those picks and whatever, which series do you guys think will be the most competitive?
Go ahead, Andrew.
All right. Yeah, I think the most competitive series will be the Clippers versus Mavericks, and we kind of talked about this when we discussed it. Kind of just going off of what I said earlier, like defense versus offense, and I just think that I'm just kind of trying to repeat myself, but if defense wins, championships. If you can stop their best player in Luka Doncic from getting a triple-double, and you can try and stop Porzingis from shooting a 3 from the top of the 3-point arc or whatever you call it, that's how you get, you win the game. You have to stop their best scorers, and the Mavs only really have 2 to 3 scorers on their team that are consistent. It's almost a free-low win. But I think it'll be interesting. Is offense better or is defense better? This series is kind of an interesting way to look at that.
I'm not going to talk much about this because I've already talked a lot about this series, but I'm going to say Rockets and Thunder. They're just really evenly matched teams. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'm actually on the same page as Ben. I have the Rockets and Thunder as well. As you guys have touched on, I just think it's going to come down to if Harden is going to put up 40 a game or not, because I'm very interested to see their game plan. I can almost guarantee they will double Harden almost every possession because I think they're going to let Daniel House, Robert Covington, and all those people beat them. I think they'll be Ben McLemore. They'll be ready and happy for them to beat them. But I don't think they want to lose to the hands of Harden putting up 50 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists. They don't want to do that. They'll be fine with Harden putting up 20 and 20 assists, but I don't think I think it's going to be – and also one thing we really haven't mentioned, it's a battle between – even though Westbrook's out, it's a battle between a huge trade. Chris Paul got traded from Houston because he couldn't get along with Harden. And like we said earlier, the Thunder weren't supposed to be here. Now the Thunder are here. Actually, they finished the exact same record as the Rockets, and nobody saw that coming. So Chris Paul's out for something. He's out to prove you guys got rid of me. You guys thought I was washed up. Look what's going to happen. I'm going to beat your team in the first round, and now who's laughing?
And on that
I think that one's going to be really good.
On that same note, when Westbrook gets back, he's going to have that same mentality.
Yes.
He always has something to prove, but
Westbrook has no friends on the court. I think he's admitted that. He's no friends with nobody on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope he gets back soon because that would make that series a lot more interesting. but it sounds like he could also very well miss the whole first round, but who knows? So we went from the most competitive first round series to the least competitive. I don't think this one's going to be really a debate. I'm going to go with the quick answer here. I think it's obviously the Magic Bucks. A lot of us were very skeptical to even give the Magic a game. So I don't really think it's that much of a discussion. Giannis is going to absolutely demolish. Like I said, Jonathan Isaac's out. Not really going to be a huge matchup. I think it's an easy sweep for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's who I had.
Next question.
Anthony said, good point, baby. Okay. So this is a little bit more of a conversation.
You said God point,
Point guard.
not a good point.
Oh,
Oh, point God.
point God, baby.
Bro.
Yeah. So we have best chance of an upset. Who do you guys think has the best chance of upsetting in the first round?
I think you guys could probably guess mine since I only predicted one real upset. I mean, technically, if you count the 4-5 matchups, then the Heat have the best chance. But in terms of a real upset, I'm sticking with the Mavs. I've already explained why. They're just better than their record shows, and I want to see what that offense can do in the playoffs. I didn't mention that they have the 6th best net rating in the league, which for a 7th seed in the West shows that proves my point that they're a lot better than their record shows.
Yeah. It's funny that we kind of switched here because my biggest upset is the OKC. I really count if the OKC win this against the Rockets would be an upset, because if you think about the beginning of the year and you're looking at OKC and the 0.2% chance that, I keep seeing that 0.2% chance getting into the playoffs, like that's not something you forget. And I think that if the OKC can pull this off, it would be considered an upset. And you guys have discussed the OKC and Thunder matchup plenty already, but yeah, I just think the OKC easily could take this game, especially with Westbrook kind of questionable on a few games.
All right. Ben said earlier he wants to go with some bold fire takes. I'm going to go with the bold fire take, and this is actually an upset I'm going to root for.
Like, why would you even do that? Like, I don't understand.
Chance of an upset in the first round. I could easily go with the Mavericks, and again, we could go with the 4-5s because these 4-5s are basically the same seed. But I'm going to go with the Portland Trailblazers for this.
There's no way.
That time and time again, everyone counts out Damian Lillard, and Damian Lillard performs every time. And in the regular season, if they met up, it'd be terrible. They get destroyed. What's the difference? Yusef Nurkic is back. And the other day in that play-in game, oh my God, he put up a 20-20 at one of their biggest games of the year. His presence is way better than Whiteside's, and they got Whiteside coming off the bench, which is kind of a good thing to have off the bench. And like I said earlier, they got to depend on the role players, and they could very well contribute. So honestly, the best chance of a first round upset, and if the Lakers play anything like they have in the bubble, barely beating a Pacers, barely beating the second string of the Nuggets.
They didn't even beat the Pacers.
And they were celebrating, and Kuzma was talking about hitting game winners over Jesus or God, and they beat a second string team. I mean, if that's what you're celebrating, go ahead. But if they play anything like they have in the bubble, I'm going with Portland.
Yeah, I was playing Portland in 2K earlier against my brother, and like Damian Lillard's the cheat code in that game. Like, I was pulling up from half court and I was laughing at him, and he was kind of being a little bit upset. He was playing the Heat. He was playing the Heat, but I mean, yeah, what you said about Nurkic or whatever, 27, right? Whatever, that's his number. He balled out yesterday in the playoffs game. Like, he was playing with that heavy heart. So, yeah, he has Portland's a really good feel good story this year. Like, they have Carmelo back, Damian Lillard's 2K21 cover. He's got something to prove or something. CJ's got his spinal. So, yeah. But Lakers aren't going to lose to the Portland Trailblazers.
Nicholas Rice asked, which team do you think was hurt the most due to the pause in play, and the team that has helped the most during the playoffs, going into the playoffs? This is a good question. Damn. I believe I think he's talking about the pause from March to July.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's the Lakers.
I agree.
The Lakers were connecting. They just came off a win from Milwaukee. They're solidifying their status as one of the best teams in basketball, if not the best team. And then they paused the play, and then they came back. They barely scraped by the Clippers, and then they started putting up these duds against teams they probably should have beat. And like I said in another stream, the people are saying LeBron wasn't trying so hard, blah, 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 all this. But still, they haven't looked as impressive as they should. And the team that I think it's helped the most going into the playoffs has to be the Trailblazers. Has to be. Hate to talk about them again, but like we said last stream, the bubble was meant for the Pelicans, meant for them to come back in the playoffs. They didn't do it. And a quote Damian Lillard said today was when he was asked if Devin Booker should have won MVP, he said, he can have the MVP. I made the playoffs. So they came in. I believe there were 3 games out, if I'm mistaken. And not only did they make the play-in game, they were the 8th seed in the play-in game. They just had to win 1 game. So I think by far the team it's helped most was the Trailblazers. What about you guys?
Yeah, I totally agree. The Blazers. I mean, just it gave them new life. But actually, I mean, I agree that the Lakers have definitely looked bad, but I'm going to say the Grizzlies, because even before Jaren Jackson went down, they looked bad. And I don't really have an explanation for this, but just going off, they went 2-6 in the bubble for a team that came in 3.5 games above the 9th seed, and then they have to do a play-in game where they'd have to win 2 games. It just they fell apart. So
I think part of that, and this isn't confirmed or anything, just a rumor for me. I think it's just because the whole time, and John Morant and all of them have explained this, they were just upset that the league did this to them. They had the 8th seed, and then they had this play-in game, and they thought the league was against them. They didn't want them making the playoffs. So they were just – maybe this whole time they were playing this head like, oh, the league's putting us against the best teams because they don't want us in. They want Zion, and they want Damian Lillard, and they don't want us in. So, and sometimes they play like that. Like you said, before Jaren Jackson went out, they were playing terrible. But, yeah, I actually like that argument. Andrew?
Yeah, real quick. Wait, sorry, I forgot what team were you just talking about? Because I was going to say something.
The Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies, yeah. The Grizzlies, they're designed, and the bubble was designed for who you're going to play in the rest of the regular season. The Grizzlies they had a relatively easier beginning of the regular season compared to the Pelicans and compared to the Trailblazers, who took advantage of this play-in thing. So I think the Memphis Grizzlies kind of they were complaining a lot, and I saw that they were pretty upset about how the league was thinking that they were trying not to get the Grizzlies in the playoffs, but they were going to play these teams in the regular season regardless. So I just think that they missed the opportunity of winning. But to answer this comment, I think the team that was hurt the most was the Lakers, and I agree with Daniel. The Lakers, they went off of the Clippers and they went off of the Bucks, and then LeBron was going to make his case for the MVP this year. And unfortunately, the season stopped, and so their kind of momentum stopped as well. What team it helped the most? When I say the Suns, like that, the entire franchise was just revitalized. Everyone was saying how much that Draymond Green included. Everyone was saying how much Devin Booker needed to get out of Phoenix. It's bad for his career. The Phoenix Suns just got a new coach. They got that kind of high level basketball experience, kind of like in the bubble. All those games were treated as must-win games, and they won 8-0. You know what I mean? 8-0, respect earned. I saw that on a Suns, poster or something. But yeah, sorry, man.
The one argument I have to that is, like, the only thing they needed to make the playoffs was to have more games to play. The way they were playing. So, and I'm not saying that just flip a switch in March for some reason they go on this streak, but they still didn't make the playoffs. So you wonder if they had the full season remaining, what they could have done. So I would say it actually hurt them.
And to that point, I think it's kind of dumb. A lot of other people think it's dumb how they did go 8-0 and they still couldn't make the playoffs. Which, I mean, that goes back to the question I asked in one of our first streams of who shouldn't have been invited to the bubble. Even though they played well, they went 8-0 and they still didn't make the bubble. I mean, still didn't make the playoffs, which is, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous at the same time. But like, it was good quality. Everyone started liking the Suns. Everyone paid attention to the final like legit bubble game. Everyone was watching because everyone was rooting for the Suns to make the playoffs. They built something there. They asked us last time, and I said the ownership's going to screw it up, and maybe they will. But they're confident. They were confident. They came into every game knowing they were going to win. Devin Booker took over. He made the first team all bubble. We'll discuss his MVP case later on. But yeah, I actually like both of you guys' arguments of who was helped the most. Thank you for that question. And again, if you guys have more questions, feel free to ask. So another topic that we should talk about is one that's kind of a big deal. Do you guys think that home court should matter? Remember, I mean, no one has home court, but there is virtual fans there. There is like the PA announcer plays their songs, their all that kind of stuff. Do you think that the home court would matter at all?
Well, we can see home court and if it will matter kind of, theoretically with Orlando, but I don't think I think it's interesting to think about home court and like you're saying with the virtual fans, I don't think that they can hear the fake cheers and I don't think that they can hear the fake, you know what I mean by that? When you're watching the game and you can hear all the fans going. The players, I believe, don't hear that. And I actually don't really think they hear any noise outside of playing basketball. And I don't know if they play the songs during the game for them. They might. I did see DeAndre Ayton dancing to WAP on Instagram. But that was before the game. But to answer the question, I don't think home court matters. I don't really think home court matters. I was looking at kind of stats from the teams that were playing home court games and away games in the bubble, and they're like the same numbers. There's no real difference between having virtual fans. As far number-wise, there's no real difference between having the virtual fans with your jersey and virtual fans with another team's jersey. So I don't think it matters.
So I actually have the stats right here, and I'd say they paint a different picture. So before the bubble, the overall home court win percentage was .551. Any guesses as to what it was in the bubble?
Probably like 80%.
0.557.
No, okay.
It was actually a higher winning percentage for home teams in the bubble, which I know it's a small sample size. It was just 49-39 was the home record. It's a small sample size, but that makes me think that there is something to it. And I think, it might just come down to like psychologically knowing that it's a home game. I think that matters a lot, and especially like refs as well, knowing it's who the home team is. I think that might play a bigger part than we would take into account. I'm not saying it's as much of a home court advantage, obviously, as having a live game, but I don't think it's nothing like a lot of people are thinking it would be.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I wouldn't say nothing either.
Yeah, I think there's no argument that it's definitely not as big of a deal as it would be with fans, which is kind of a dumb statement, but it's true. But I like that you brought up that stat to prove that it does, because, I mean, personally from home, if they didn't show me a scoreboard or anything, I could have never guessed who the home team was. When I post game day stuff on my Celtics account, I had to look on ESPN who the home team was. But I think that some people could look in the virtual fans and they could see their mom, sister, daughter, son, all those like loved ones, and they can say, "Oh, this is our home game. I'm going to show off in front of them." They could see the colors and say, "All right, I'm going to go off. These are my people." And some people see the jerseys, like the Heat have the Vice jersey, the Bucks have like the Cream City jersey. They could have the jersey on and be like, "All right, I'm home. This is." I mean, some people like playing in different jerseys, and they think, like, I play better in this jersey than the other, and it's actually a thing. So yeah, it's not going to make a big deal like it has in every playoff ever, but it could have a little bit of an impact. It'd be very interesting to see. I wonder if they're going to pipe for us at home, not for them. If they're going to pipe in louder crowd noise, because personally, I'm not a fan of the crowd noise at all. I think they should just let them play. I don't know if you guys don't agree with that, but I really hate the fan noise. I think it's kind of dumb.
It's just for viewing. It's not really. It's not like they're playing and listening to it. It's just for the watcher.
No, I know. I said from home.
Okay.
I just don't like listening to it.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty. I wish that they had maybe they can have two kind of versions of the game. I don't know if that's possible, but I wish there was a version where it was just the sound of the squeak of the sneaker, the sound of I want to hear these players talk. I don't even hear them. That was one thing that when we were talking about the bubble in what's the last month from last month?
Right?
July.
Yeah, when we're talking about the bubble in July, a lot of talk was we're going to be able to hear these players kind of banter on the court because there's no crowd noise. I can, that's some disappointment that I had where I wasn't, I'm not really able to hear these players argue as much as I should. Although I can hear them complain to the ref, but I think it's because there's mics or something.
On that note, I hate how almost every broadcast, every 5 seconds, there's this 10, 15-second pause of just silence because they're cussing. And the TV station silences it. And like you said, normally they did this for The Last Dance. They had the ESPN be the clean version and ESPN2 be you're going to hear the cuss words. And I'm kind of with you on that, although most of the games are on TNT and they don't really have a separate station to do that on. For ESPN, I think that'd be a great idea. So many people are going to tune in to hear Patrick Beverley talk on the court, to hear all these people talk crap on the court. But, who knows?
To that point, they've actually done, I feel like, just from viewing, it seems like they've done a lot more of those audio assists where you can hear snippets. And I don't know, as a fan personally, I enjoy hearing those. So I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I like to hear them.
Which player that opted out of the return to play would have made the biggest difference to their team in these playoffs? I'm going to have to go with Avery Bradley.
That was my first.
I kind of touched on him a lot in this. And most casual Laker fans look at him and see he puts up 5 points per game or whatever. He's not a big loss. But real Laker fans, real basketball fans look at it, see him play the game, and they're like, we need this guy to guard the best point guard or shooting guard on that team. And he can. He can full court press. I saw Avery Bradley in Boston. I loved him. He can full court press. He could play defense with the best of them. So sometimes injury has pushed him back a little bit. But I think and everyone said this, it's a huge loss for Los Angeles. It's a huge loss. So that's who I think.
Just to say something different, because I actually think is Avery Bradley. The Jazz, Bojanovic. We kind of mentioned him earlier this stream. He is. When I used to watch Jazz games, and I would watch him because I would want to make bets with my Jazz fan friends, even though none of them would want to make bets. Don't know why. He's a 3-point mastermind. Him and Joe Ingles, they look really funny when they play, but they make their shots, and that's just one of the Jazz. I don't really watch Jazz games that much, so I don't have that much commentary on it, but he's one player that they'll definitely miss in the playoffs and probably suffer from.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was just going to say Avery Bradley too, but now that you mention it, I might have to go with Bogdanovic as well. He's like a 20-point per game scorer for them, so I feel like if he was there, I might have picked the Jazz over the Nuggets, and I feel like that's a bigger difference than anybody.
Yeah. Oh, real quick though, the Raptors, they don't have Drake. That might be some sort of issue, but I don't know.
And unless I'm wrong, I believe what we just named, I think those were the two biggest opt-outs amongst playoff teams. The Wizards had Bradley Beal in them, but
the Nets
were going to make a noise. Nets aren't going to make noise anyways.
Yeah, okay.
So, speaking of people who would make the biggest difference, who do you guys think will be the breakout performer of the playoffs?
As a Laker fan, I'm really excited to see Laker LeBron in the playoffs. And that's who I have just as the biggest playoff performer, because we know what LeBron can do in the playoffs. We've seen it 8 years in a row minus last year. Especially Game 7, LeBron is something I really want to see in the playoffs in a Lakers uniform. And I know that he's going to be playing a lot more minutes, probably only missing like 5 minutes a game because, when he was on the Cavs, they benched him 2 minutes and they ended up losing that game. I don't remember what year that was because Golden State was like the past 9 years, it seems like. But yeah, I think LeBron will be the biggest breakout performer. He has something to prove, hopefully.
That's fair. The way I read this question, I sort of think about people who we haven't seen in the playoffs before. So my pick is Michael Porter Jr. He's he's new to the scene in terms of being the best scorer on his team, and so I think in the playoffs he might be able to elevate the Nuggets past the Jazz. Like he might be the star of that series. So, and I would count that as the best breakout playoff performer.
To touch on Andrew's point, that's kind of one of the biggest storylines of this postseason of playoff LeBron in LA. He's older. He's in a different scenario. So everyone's trying to see. And maybe, like we said, if the bubble games meant something and he's actually just slowing down, or if he's going to do what he did in 2018 and go full Super Saiyan in the playoffs and lead him to the finals. Unfortunately, I actually have the exact same answer as Ben. I think Michael Porter Jr. Has the confidence through the roof right now. He's coming off like I said, 20,000 times, the all-second team bubble. He's putting up 22 points per game. He has 8.6 rebounds, 1 steal, 0.9 blocks. He's shooting 55% from the field and 42% from 3. And I don't know. I feel like his whole time they've been relying on Jamal Murray to be that one player to carry them, like have Jokic put up his 20, 11, 10, and then have that one guy just put 20 and just like give him a chance. But if they have 3 players who could put up 20 a game, that's 60 points, man. I'm not the smartest math person, but that's a lot in a game of basketball. Like, and that's something they've been needing. Anthony brought up Luka Doncic.
Yeah, that was
a very good argument. He could. Do you guys have any argument for Luka Doncic?
Yeah, actually I do, because I was going to choose Luka Doncic, and I was writing what I was going to say, but then it hit me like, we haven't seen Luka in the playoffs, so I really can't that kind of stopped me from choosing him, and I know you guys chose Michael Porter Jr., but I haven't seen, we haven't really seen Luka in the playoffs, so we don't really know if he's going to be able to underperform or overperform and stun everybody. Players have a tendency to have their numbers increase in the playoffs, especially in pressure positions. I mean, unless you're getting defense, you're getting clamped. But I'm interested to see if Luka's numbers will go even higher than his 30 points and like 9 assists in the bubble. Like, he's balling out. And as a baller myself, kind of mentioned this stuff. I see myself in Luka, so I can see him taking over and just breaking out in the playoffs.
He was definitely. I was considering Luka Doncic and Michael Porter Jr. for this question. Those were the 2 people I was considering. So definitely.
All right. So we talked about the playoffs. First round happens. We'll be back with another stream to discuss the second round, see if we're right, see if we're very wrong, see if Luka broke out, see if Michael Porter Jr. broke out, see if LeBron was good. Whatever. Let's go to the bubble seeding games to end this stream real quick. The all NBA bubble teams came out the other day. And if I can bring it up real quick. The first team bubble was Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, TJ Warren, Luka Doncic, James Harden. Second team was Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, Kristaps Porzingis, Karis LeVert, and Michael Porter Jr. So, out of those names I just listed, do you guys believe that anyone was snubbed from those all-NBA bubble teams?
I think CJ McCollum could have probably been a second-team pick. Him and Damian Lillard wheeled the Trailblazers to the playoffs. I would even consider Carmelo Anthony, one of the 2 could have made it. Carmelo Anthony's a stretch. I might just be a fan of Melo because I just played him in 2K earlier and he was clowning on the Heat. Just another really quick mention, Kyle Lowry. He kind of started slowing down in the bubble. But when the Raptors were getting in, and the Raptors were the first people to arrive in the bubble, the Raptors started off super strong in the bubble, especially Kyle Lowry. He balled up against the Lakers, I remember, which was definitely a fluke because he's not that good. He's overrated, but I could see him. He could be second team all bubble.
So for this question, I thought I was going to have a lot of options before the all bubble teams were announced. And when I was thinking about it, I don't think I've ever said this in my life in regards to like all-star teams, all NBA teams, but I literally would not change a thing about how these all bubble teams are laid out. If I had to pick somebody who I say could have gotten in, I'd say maybe Paul George, been playing well in the bubble. Maybe over Porzingis might be a stretch, but I honestly would not change a single thing. And that's saying something because there's always guys who, should have made an all NBA team or an all-star team.
For those watching, I promise you, me and Ben don't have the same notes, but I kind of said the exact same thing. I think these all NBA teams were actually kind of right spot on. Like there was no one who put up crazy numbers and was just left off. But again, for the sake of this exercise, I actually wanted to pick somebody, and I wanted to be a little biased towards my pick, so I picked Jason Tatum. After his first game, which was a complete dud, he put up 25.3 points per game in the bubble.
He got a haircut.
3% shooting after he got a haircut. He was shooting 48% from the three. He averages 6 rebounds, 4 assists, which for Tatum, you guys don't understand. So you guys aren't Celtics fans. But for Tatum, his biggest weakness has been not sharing the ball as much. And when he puts up 4 assists, that is something that every single Celtics fan has wanted to see. And he's made some really, really good reads that we haven't seen in his career, which makes me very excited to watch the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't really put him on an all-NBA team. But if I had to exchange it, I would put Jason Tatum.
I'm surprised you chose that Celtic because I thought you were going to say Marcus Smart. That was another player that I thought of just because of his defensive presence in the bubble. Like he was playing really good defense. He was first on the floor, so I thought Marcus Smart is. You don't think so? You hating on him?
I don't know if you've noticed this by now, but the league disrespects Marcus Smart.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying he was snubbed.
No, but I think they look at points, and he did not. He had one good game with like 20 points, and then after that, he put like 4.
You're right. Not very good score.
With the single flex. So this is actually the biggest debate probably, maybe, on this show we're going to have today. And do you guys believe Damian Lillard deserved the bubble MVP?
I'll wait till Daniel goes in case you have the same answer.
Okay, I'll go first then. Yes, and here's why. I know it's not really an argument between Lillard or LeBron, Lillard or Giannis, all that. It's Lillard and Booker. Those were kind of the two. It was going to be one or the other. The reason I did not think Booker deserves it, and the reason probably why he didn't win it, the Suns didn't make the playoffs. And if the MVP award these past couple of years have meant anything, mainly the best team wins the MVP award. And Damian Lillard just went absolutely insane. I think we last did it, he was averaging like 29 points per game. In a week span from last time we streamed to now, he averages now 37.6 points per game. Those are coming off, I think, a couple 50-point performances in whatever he put up last game. He's shooting 49% from the field. He's shooting 30. He has 37 points on 49% shooting from the field, which is insane. And 43% from 3, so he's not just chucking up 3s just to hope they go in. He's shooting efficient. And Booker is shooting 31% from 3, 50% from the field, which is really good. He's putting up 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, which is good all-around numbers. Lillard has almost a double-double. So he's putting up those insane scoring numbers with almost 10 assists and 1.4 steals. So I personally think Lillard was rightfully named. If they missed the play-in game, I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that it would have went to Devin Booker.
Yeah,
Ben, you want to go?
I absolutely agree. I mean, he carried them to the playoffs. In over a 3-game stretch, he scored 51, then 61, then 43. I mean, that's insane. That's averaging over 50 across a 3-game stretch. And I think he averaged over 17 points a game in fourth quarters, which is just insane. That's Dame time. Like, I'd love to give it to Booker, but like you said, the stakes were higher in that last game, and the Blazers ultimately made the playoffs. So,
Yeah, I agree. I really think that because Trailblazers made the playoffs, Lillard deserved the MVP, especially putting up those numbers like Ben just mentioned. I mean, but that's an interesting way to think about it is like the bubble is those 8 games, and whoever kind of balled out the most in those 8 games, not counting the playoffs, not looking at seeding, not looking at anything else, Booker probably was the most valuable player for his team, but I think it all has to do with the Trailblazers making the playoffs over the Suns.
And Anthony brought up a good point. It's not his fault. He was literally 8-0. That's true. And like I mentioned earlier, I think it's really stupid that they went 8-0 and still couldn't make it. But it's the NBA. They don't work like that. If you make the playoffs, that means you accomplished something with your team. If you didn't, that means whatever. But I mean, I think, and who knows? There's probably a really close vote. Actually, I don't think so. Unless I'm mistaken, I think it was a unanimous vote.
It couldn't have been unanimous. There's no way. They could not have been unanimous, but perhaps it was.
I want to see this.
I have no clue.
Yeah, Damian Lillard was MVP in unanimous vote. So actually, no one even voted for Devin Booker to win MVP.
Yeah, except for Anthony.
No, but I can see both arguments, but I think Damian Lillard was rightfully named the MVP. So we will be back next Sunday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Actually, thank you guys, most of you who stayed for this whole thing. And for those watching on a video, thank you for watching. We will see you guys next week. You guys can leave your comments of who you guys think will make the next round. If you were wrong about something, if you want us to improve on something, feel free to comment below, like this video, subscribe, and peace.